So there is that issue though that the YouTube video was listed.
All right. Well, hopefully this will fix it. Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy. Hopefully we can get this fixed this time. I sincerely apologize for all of the issues. We'll have to, jump in, let you guys know what actually transpired. With all of that, sound problems, technology issues. It's a major league pain in the butt. I really, really do apologize about it. So, welcome to Nerdarchy. I am Nerdarchist Ted, and tonight we are going to play some 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. I apologize, I got a new mic. I don't know if that was the issue or whether it was just, OBS deciding to kick me in the butt. But we're going to play some 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, sponsored by by RPG Crate. If you want to get your own subscription, you can go over to rpgcrate.com, use Nerdarchy RPG Crate promo code to get 10% off your first month subscription. All of that information is down in the description below, should you so desire. So let's go around the players. They can reintroduce themselves, who they're playing, where you might be able to find them, and then we'll sum up what happened over the last half hour. So we'll go in the same order as we did last time.
Great. Just gonna hit some bullet points. Megan R. Miller, the R is important or you won't be able to find me. Amazon.com, that is where my novels are. Torchlighter's coming out soon.
Fraganator, I don't do anything. Playing a sorcerer that doesn't know he's a sorcerer, so I hit stuff with a hammer mostly. Well, in theory, I really don't.
Hey, you sometimes hit.
This game so far.
Jake?
I don't know how to edit myself for time. I am Jake from Mini Terrain Domain. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube. We run 3 weekly streaming campaigns, and I am going to park on this one just for a moment. This Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, we are resuming the second season of what is now called our Dawnbringers campaign. We finished up the Sunless Citadel. We are starting the Forge of Fury, as presented in the 5th edition Yawning Portal. And we are pleased to announce the addition of a 5th player and character played by none other than
me. So excited to flip the script on this one, Jake.
Yeah, we're very excited to have you join the party in a weekly campaign over there.
So you are playing Parthus Zerg, the Dragonborn fighter.
Blue Dragonborn fighter Parthus Zerg, Eldritch Knight.
This is the super magic-y party that it actually is. And last but certainly not least, let's go over to Oslin.
Alright, I'm Asa Kinney. I'm playing Oslin. My name is correct this time. I am with Roll for Mischief. We are a Twitch stream for D&D. And real quick, I'm going to plug a giveaway we're doing. We're giving away a player's handbook for if we reach our 50th follower, which we're at 44 right now. So go to Twitch, check out Roll for Mischief, follow us. We're just going to pull from those random 50 people who are following us. Alright, Ted, make sure that the video is marked as public on YouTube, because that might be the issue you're having, is it might be marked down as uplisted, or whatever Fraganator said it was.
Alright.
Yeah,
I'm still having trouble finding it.
Alright, so is it still saying private? Or
we can't find it now.
I can't even find it.
Yep.
It's the same link. It automatically refreshed when we restarted the stream.
Oh.
I never even went away from it. I just suddenly heard us talking.
Because I hit the link and it pulls up the old video that's only 24 minutes.
Same.
Yep.
That's weird. Maybe it's because I was there.
All right, so what?
Here, I will share this link in our chat here to see if you guys can get to it.
All right, so while I'm trying to figure this out, I will also be explaining what actually transpired, not only last time, but with the the last half hour of what we actually accomplished. So the players, the characters, if you will, had done good service for Braden's Valley, and in so doing, they were asked whether they would be willing to do yet another favor for the town's inhabitants. In the nearby mountain range, way up in the peaks, is the city of Pelagornia. There is a group, a race of bird people that they wanted to open trade negotiations with and establish peaceful relations. But not everyone is willing to travel to such amazing heights and conduct such negotiations, such such conversation. And they asked the players, they asked these wonderful magical characters if they would be willing to do so through an arduous trek up to, the heights of amazing 12,000 feet they climbed. I threw it to the players for some agency to say what kind of problems had they encountered in so doing. Bulgath suggested that he wanted to fight some snow yetis, some mountain men, if you will, and combat ensued, and in so doing he sent a chaos bolt into the side of the mountain, and he was washed down and had to retrek 1.5 miles up the hill by himself. His party, of course, waited for him as they crested the top, and they looked down, taking in such of the beauty. They could see the small villages and towns so many miles away. They could see the vast sky, but what they nearly missed was a large, at least 10 foot tall, at least 15 or 20 foot wingspan, spectral humanoid bird creature, and it screeches out the word trespassers, to them. And then it comes in for an attack. And that's where we are. We're locked into combat. Some damage was done by Dante and Parthas, as well as we ended with the creature's spectral hand, going into Bulgath and withering some of his internal organs for for what was it, half your hit points?
A little over. It was fun. Good times. Glad I didn't shield.
All right, so that is the long and the short of it. My turn is over, and that brings us to Oslin.
All right. So seeing this thing charged itself towards Bulgath, I'm gonna run forward and attempt to punch it in the face, as a wizard does best. And then I'm going to do the booming blade thing in the chibi. So that's a 15 to hit.
15 will actually hit.
All right, and I don't have a D4 because reasons. Someone want to just pick a number between 1 and 4? When I find my dice.
You got 2 people that said 3. Go.
Can we do that? Is it 3?
Sure.
Here, I'll roll one for you. Oh, never mind. He said sure.
That's 6 damage, and then if it moves, it takes the booming blade effect. And then I'm going to use a key point to disengage.
Okay. So if he moves, he will take damage.
Exactly.
He is currently in melee with Dante and Bulgath, so he's not too worried about moving.
It's true.
And it is hard for you to gauge, how much, how lively he is, considering it's a completely spectral form and there's no wounds that are appearing on him. But that does bring us to the top of the order, Bulgath.
Oh, darn. Hitting him was so useful last time. I think I will use my Tides of Chaos to try it again with advantage. Hey, 18 on the die. How about that?
Was that the first or second roll? Or do you not?
I don't know.
Oh.
They're the same color.
Oh.
Like, they're both black with gray shimmery doodads.
Well,
But
18 on the die, I guarantee you hits.
I don't even know how much damage I do with a weapon. It's been so long since I've hit.
Are you
1d10
one? Are you?
plus 3.
All right, so you're two-handing your warhammer.
I only ever two-hand it. 6.
6 damage. Is that counting strength?
Oh yeah, that's yep. I rolled a 3.
In typical Mike fashion, Dante.
Right, I'm gonna match missile at level 2 this time for 13 damage.
13 damage. So as your 4 bolts of energy, slam into him, it goes into the shoulder. It goes into the shoulder. Third one goes into the thing's hip. Fourth one goes into the center mass. I mean, I don't know what's the proper word for the center of a spectral creature. And with that last and final blast, you see the spectral form get more and more see-through until there's really nothing there to see.
Oh, thank my various gods.
All right, Oslin, get this light off me. Why'd you make me bright anyway?
We needed to see. I thought that you would make a great
Target?
illuminating
Thanks.
force. Oh yeah, well, I mean, you're big. You can handle it.
Yeah, I just feel like he ripped out my spleen is all.
I was going more for your heart.
I'll pull
He
a
missed.
medicine check and see if his spleen's still there. I got a 12.
All right.
Do I sense a spleen?
Well, is he taking off his armor? Because it's kind of in the way if you want to get internal organs. You don't have the ability to go
No,
spectral.
but whatever hole gaps there are in the armor. No. It feels like it's there. Your spleen's still intact.
I'm just wearing a breastplate is all.
Yeah, having worn a breastplate, that's not exactly easy to palpitate organs with.
I just like Aces. Whatever it takes. And holding it. What kind of medical exam, mountainside medical exam is this?
I'm so glad I was looking down and I'd have lost it.
It's a natural 12. That's the kind of medical exam it is.
He's still walking and breathing and glowing. He's fine.
He does look quite radiant.
So over the next 40 seconds, the glow begins to subside, and you can yet again look at your dwarven companion, if you so choose.
I feel dumber now. Not so bright.
You or
I know where you're going.
Yeah, but I just wanted to make Jake shake his head at me.
Oh,
we all know what.
for the record, it's
Parthus likes.
Parthus. It's Parthus that hates the puns, not me.
Oh, okay.
I love puns.
Oslin is a father, so he loves those jokes. All right.
Well,
So
I certainly hope that wasn't one of the birds we were supposed to talk to.
No.
We
It was some kind of
tried.
ghost. It's fine.
so as you
And attempts was made.
so the creature dissipated, gone, what have you. You see the monastery with which you were to tread to, not too far beyond. So do you still wish to make a contact?
Am I the only one that got hurt?
Yes.
Okay, never mind.
Okay,
There's a place over there where you could probably get you healed up. Right?
That's
I'm
all right.
going to be honest. We've been walking up this mountain for quite a long time, and my feet are tired, and my legs are sore, and I really need a bath.
I feel like you're just indulging me in a short rest.
So are you resting outside? Or are you going to go meet people?
Oh, I'm going to go meet people. I'm walking up to the door already. Like, I'm done with being outside. I'm done with nature. Like, I'm over it.
Screw this crap. It's time to get inside a mountain where it's safe.
So
Ted's laughing at safe. That's not good.
no, I'm laughing at the dwarven mindset of being inside a mountain is better than being on a mountain, and having been up to heights of 11,000 plus feet, it's kind of an actual reality that it's in a world where monstrous creatures live and spectral bird things can just manifest in front of you. Inside might not be such a bad idea. So how are you approaching? There's it's a building that's very obviously, but I mean it's very evident of what the front door is.
I approach with my hands up, showing that I am unarmed once again, and when I get there, I knock like a civilized person.
So I can't let Mike be the only one to tell jokes. If you have your hands up like this, doesn't that mean you're armed?
It's okay. I was gonna say I'm gonna walk with my arms behind me so you can't see I'm armed. So, I just didn't want to Parthasmatic.
I mean, this is supposed to be a monastery. I'm part monk. I can pretend to be all like I'm supposed to be here.
So,
I beg your dear pardon, my fellows. Would you please answer the door?
you're the first thing to get your attention is a far more monstrous version of what you just saw and fought, but as opposed to being spectral, very very physical, very much there. At least 10 to 12 feet tall, bright yellow, reds, orange, the colors of fire. A bird-like creature. I don't know how you guys can see that. Just kind of takes flight from the wall. Doesn't come at you guys. Doesn't come anywhere near you. But it lets off a bird-like screech as it takes to the air and startles you to some degree.
Yeah, I
Yes, well,
still
no,
go
just
back
kidding.
and shock and clutch my chest.
But eventually the door does open, and standing average height, but very humanoid in structure, stands one of these bird creatures, as opposed to having a more avian face. It looks almost human if it weren't for the feathers covering its eyes and head. Its wings, as opposed to taking the place of its arms as the bird creature that you just saw flew, its wings actually jut from its enlarged set of shoulders, so that it has the arms out in front and then a secondary set of shoulders producing wings that flare out behind it, very much in the same color scheme as the bird that you saw take flight. But as you take in this form, both its hands and its feet end in avian appendages, claws, if you will. Its feet very much look like any other large predator bird, and its hands look like a combination of that avian foot, but in a full digit set of hands. It's wearing clothes, jewelry. There is a curved blade hanging at its side, though it's not in its hands. In a very high-pitched voice, almost uncomfortably so. It replies, and it's a little bit hard to determine the gender of such a creature. But it says greetings and welcome to Pelagornia. What is your reason for your visit?
Oh, we've come to negotiate a trade treaty with the settlement down the mountain yonder.
This is rather unheard of. We don't get visitors much up here. do come in. Let's there's definitely a little bit of worry on the creature's face. It's fairly evident. At seeing people outside their door.
I give a little bow and walk in.
So what you see is very 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 Spartan. Nothing here seems to give you any kind of inclination of lavish or overdone. Everything here that you see seems to have a purpose and is not meant for decoration in any way. It's for some of you, this might be a little bit off-putting if you're used to seeing some of that stuff.
So, is there any sign on the inside of this temple as to whether or not this is a chaste order, or is it impossible to tell?
You're not really seeing anything initial to show you signs one way or the other.
Okay.
So they lead you into a small sitting room. No, not too far in the complex. You see a couple other figures. Heights and weights as you would expect. Vary, but the sparse clothing that they're wearing does seem to be maybe not exact. So it's not a uniform, but it's close. You look and you see, some basic refreshments are brought out. Nothing more than water and maybe some better than prepared rations, but something to nibble on. And eventually, the person that greeted you does return, flanked by a couple more, and the worried look is still there, and they again allow me to extend our greetings to the first visitors we've had in quite some time. Usually, Krutfa does not allow for outsiders to step onto our soil. How did you dissuade him?
About that.
Is that the spleen ripper outer?
What? Excuse me?
Your guardian did try and stop us. We did try to negotiate our way by.
We negotiated with this. And I show my warhammer.
So of the three that are there, like one of them, it doesn't take much. Even though they're not completely human, they still have humanoid visages, and one of them you just see like this look of intense rage come over them, but it wasn't the one that you were speaking to, and clawed hand is put out on the shoulder. It's that is actually more sad for the group of you than it is for us. See, Krutfa is a great champion of our past. The spirit protects us, and will in essence will always be there. It is not in any way, shape, or form something that will ever go away.
I'm very glad to hear that, because I really didn't want to hurt the beast.
Well, that is the downside, is if you have actually slain the creature, you caused it to dissipate, to go beyond. You didn't convince it to fly away.
Oh, we convinced it, just not with words.
In our defense, he did hit me first. At least
Well,
before I hit him.
Well, sadly, the mark is then upon the lot of you, and
I feel it.
should you, should you, continue every dawn, Krutfa will be back.
Should I roll a new character now?
Until he is appeased, it appears that you'll have to deal with this unless you wish to just give yourself to the mountain. But no one.
Now, what
So-
precisely
so-
do you suggest we do about this? Because it didn't end very well for him the first time.
Well, if you have earned his ire, he gets stronger with each dawn.
I look at Oslin
Worse
with like this extremely distressed expression.
Out of game experience. What is that? Grinding?
I totally farmed this guy.
It looks like we're not gonna level up every session. We're just gonna level 20 tonight. So we go to sleep. It is now dawn. I'll look back at Dante and just give him a fatherly look. I guess we'll just have to prove ourselves worthy of his respect, and then
So
hopefully we can break this curse.
there is information inside the lower areas of the monastery that have rituals of appeasement that you might be able to do, which could remove this curse from you, should you so desire.
I would love to learn more of your rituals. This is a fascinating monastery. You're all these. What do you call yourselves?
As far as this is the Pelagornia Monastery, and our race is called Territorian.
Interesting. And what is this a religious monastery? Is it a monastery of teaching ways of life? Do you devote yourself to deities?
It is spiritual, though not to the gods. And he's willing to, engage you in conversation for some time. They don't seem to be like monastic. It's not a monk order, but it is definitely, into separation and not necessarily isolation. They're not lock yourself up for 10 years and achieve atonement and blah blah blah. But they have their beliefs. They have been secluded from what they might refer to as the lower races. Not so much in that like they think that they're superior, but more from just the elevation difference.
Gotcha.
I pout the entire time this conversation is going on.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in a lot of their ways of life.
So
and then
I
once that
imagine
conversation ends-
I imagine like you pull one of them aside to have this conversation, unless like the group of you want to
sit and listen.
sit and listen and find out more about these creatures, and you do gather that it's not due to any any desire to be isolated from those below, again the lower races. It's more like just for generations this spectral guardian really just doesn't allow anything to harm its people. You learn that Krutfa long ago was the pioneer of the Territorian. It seems like there's more information about Krutfa, that they're like skating around as you pry, um, and possibly something about like a major change, but like they push it more towards a spiritual change, and don't go into a lot of depth where that's concerned. But you, go ahead.
I was gonna say under Bolgast's breath, he's just gonna be like, "Sounds like it's just a dick."
Um,
Just thinking that.
as you inquire further, eventually the conversation loops around to the larger of the bird folk creature, so the bird folk creatures. And they're called the Gorn, and they're not as sentient or intelligent. They're far more, you know, they're more physically avian and more mentally avian, and they're used, for physical labor, for protection, considering that they're twice the size of the Territorian.
Gotcha.
But
When the conversation winds down, I'll be happy to go down and learn more about appeasing Katorn. I can't say the guy's name.
Kritfa.
Kritfa.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Low
write it
key
for
out
Anakin.
of character, I'm kind of iffy about letting the terrorists win, but
I'm interested in going to wherever they keep the food and looking for peas and mints so that I can offer appeasement.
Well, there are no peas, and they are unfamiliar with what mint is. So
I kind of think your Volgat's a little more just literal. He doesn't understand that he's making.
I have an
things.
8 intelligence and a 10 wisdom, man. That's what I'm doing. I'm looking for appeasements.
They don't make that brand of mints around here.
So should you wish to go into the old monastery, there is a creature that does block your path, and we have stayed away from it, and kind of why we are in this part of the monastery is to the old, but I feel that we would be remiss if we did not shared that there was the horned dragon that blocks the gates.
Like a
Just to be
pseudo-dragon, right?
creature that we kill and then it decides to follow us around.
No, this one does not, to my knowledge, hold any curses or revisitations.
You say a horned dragon. Is this a true dragon, or is it just the general sense dragon-like creature?
I am personally unfamiliar with derivations, if you would, of the term. It is not a winged creature like ourselves, but it is definitely far more massive than yourself.
And I'm not winged either, yet I am dragonkin.
Well, perhaps this thing is as well. I just know that it is large, it is scaled, it has horns, and my brethren call it the mountain horned dragon.
Well, my curiosity's piqued.
Does it have treasure? That's how you'll know if it's a real dragon or not. Does it have treasure?
Well, I mean, it guards the doors to the old monastery, and there is much to be found within. So, in essence, yes.
Perfect.
Does it communicate or is it more bestial?
I would imagine it is more bestial, though I personally have never attempted to engage it in combat or conversation.
If it is able to communicate, I will attempt to speak to it. But I think the best way to deal with this, straight on.
So this more than qualifies for a short rest. Should you so
Yeah.
wish to do so?
Yeah, I'd like my key point back.
Ooh, I rolled a 9. Plus... That's good enough.
You only have a 14 con.
Yeah.
What kind of dwarf are you?
I'm a sorcerer. It's not a sorcerer. So I'm only down 3 now.
Old dwarfs. Well, I'm gonna run away for a moment. I'll be right back.
Okay. So you guys, decide to grab a meal, rest up, and begin to make your way to the to where this wingless dragon is.
Yep,
Uh,
that's not right.
Indeed.
I complained the whole way there.
so
So we're inside the mountain now?
no,
Oh, okay.
you go back. Like, you will be in the mountain when you go past said dragon.
Okay.
They tell you that the earlier monastery was built into the mountain itself.
So, Dante,
Yes.
is there a particular part of this mission that you don't like, or just the whole thing in general?
It was so tiring getting up here, and we were so careful to try and be polite to this thing, and then it attacks us, and now apparently we have to apologize to it because it swung first. And it's just ridiculous, and I'm angry.
Use that anger. We apparently have a dragon to face.
Yes, well, if it's as unreasonable as that bird outside, we're going to have a problem.
I mean, how often have you reasoned with a dragon?
Yeah, look at Parthas.
Ooh, he's
I've
really
never won an argument with that man.
I am easy to get along with,
Oh no, we get along just
Especially-
fine.
especially when there's no puns involved.
I am inclined to agree.
I'm just saying, when's the last time you lost an argument?
I don't lose arguments.
Exactly. Dragons are stubborn. At least everyone I've met is. I can't speak for all of them. That's
You
not
say
fair.
stubborn, and I say resolute.
I mean, potato. Although I've never met anyone who says potato. Do you say potato? Is that a dragon thing?
No.
Dwarf?
I'm going to do it from now on.
No.
Bother you.
I actually questioned for a moment whether you had seen my character sheet. My flaw is I'd rather eat my armor than admit when I'm wrong.
Right. Well,
That's quite a flaw, man.
But I can guarantee you, I can either speak to this dragon, or we can destroy it.
on another note, why exactly did we agree to come up here? What are we doing?
I
So
don't
far,
even- It was a sponsorship, I think.
The only qualification we have as far as helping people so far has just been barely surviving. Like, we've never accomplished anything. We just always
Well-
barely live.
I mean, are we?
I don't understand.
Are we
I was-
doing an agreement? Are we like making a trade connection? Are we just like, hey, stop bothering these people? Because these
Sounds like they don't leave.
Territorians, they don't seem to be bothering anyone, unless you know
I
they.
just-
They,
And
they,
they don't have peas or mints, so what do they have to trade?
you got.
This might just be me forgetting the premise.
We are sponsoring a trade agreement. They asked very nicely, and frankly, I think if I had stayed in town, I probably would have ended up in the stocks. So
Right. I'm sorry. I'm getting old. I forget things pretty easy. All right. Well, let's go get our peas and mints dealt with, so we don't have to worry about this spirit bird trying to rip out Bolgat's spleen every morning, and then we can work on our trade agreement.
So they tell you that once you actually deal with the dragon and get inside, That there are a number of statues, carvings, that if you record what is there, that will allow them to complete the tablets that they have here, and then you would know the ritual to totally appease Krutfa, um, you know, and in so doing, you'll be able to end this curse. And if all goes well, then Krutfa will accept travelers, and that should solve the trade issues as well.
Well, after we've gone through all this much trouble, then, they'd have to let it go. In the town, I mean.
All right, so do you set out?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
Indeed.
So as you begin, traveling, it is not too far from the monastery to where the old monastery's doors are. Are you doing anything to scout, or are you just heading straight for the doors?
I mean, I'll send my little puppy dog up scouting. Manny can go and I'll just. I don't think I can see through his eyes.
Is it a familiar?
Yeah.
Then yeah.
Can I? Oh, yeah. I'll send him ahead. And...
You become, unable to experience any of your own senses to then enter into the familiar and be able to sense it out to, out through its own senses.
Yeah, up to 100 feet. Okay. So this is when I'll need someone like Dante to like literally hold my hand and walk me along, so I'm not tripping over stuff.
No, I'll do it.
I feel like Bolgath would be a bad person to do that for me.
Dang, damn it! I was gonna run you into trees and make you trip over rocks.
So, are you putting your hand on his shoulder? Are you holding hands? How are you doing this? Just for visualization.
I'm an elderly man. I gotta walk with my cane, my staff, and then have somebody kind of hold me along.
I keep forgetting that you're elderly. How on earth are you?
I'm not elderly. I'm like mid-40s.
Well,
for the
record,
30s, and I feel elderly.
For the record, as somebody who is 45, I do not consider that elderly.
It's not elderly, but it's certainly elderly for an adventurer.
Yeah. Well,
are you human?
It's well matured.
And he only just started adventuring like this year, so.
Because I'm 40, and there's no way I'd want to be, hiking up a 12,000 or 12,000 feet elevation mountain and then going and fighting some giant dragon. Just saying.
Exactly. But that is what Oslin is doing. Go ahead and go.
So I think what I'm going to do is, seeing that you suddenly no longer have the ability. You've done this before, right?
I would assume so. You probably are familiar with this.
I'm going to scoop you up and carry you in my arms.
Okay.
All right. So as the dog begins to scout out ahead, you definitely do see a large, cave entrance. The footing, the ground here is not easy to hike by any stretch of the imagination. It's difficult. There's times you have to like climb up and climb down, and it's exhausting. Once you see the cave, there is indeed some giant horned lizard that has decided to make this cavern its. It's 12 feet long and shaped much like an iguana, with two large horns and a ridge of sharp horns down its spines. Its front legs are longer than its back legs, and its mouth is filled with long, sharp teeth, giving it the appearance of a wingless dragon rather than a lizard. It yawns, and that's how you see all the teeth as it, lies there. Is the dog moving stealthily?
All you hear is yep.
Yeah, it's got a bit of a mind of its own, so I think once it kind of catches a whiff of the dragon, it'll go into stealth. And
Hold up. Let me know what you got.
and familiars just use my stats.
Not at all. You should have a stat block for the dog.
I keep forgetting to open this up.
That block for a puppy.
Right, you gotta pull up an actual.
Everything is a 1.
That's not right.
I would imagine it'd have somewhere between like an 8 and a 12 dex.
Yeah, we'll just give it a 12 dex, and I'll roll with a +1, and I'll figure out the actual stat later. Oh, it's a 13.
All right. So, it does not immediately seem like it notices. So does the pup come back? Do you just kind of pop it out?
I think after seeing what's going on, it's just gonna make its way back. And once I know what's happening, I'll break the link so I can.
Okay. You come to and you realize that you were initially kind of holding on to Dante, and you're now kind of being fireman carried by Parthas.
Oh, look at you. Well,
sorry, I thought I was muted.
I saw the thing, the dog there, or the dragon.
Come on, you had a moment there. You could have looked longingly into his eyes.
I mean, I thought those moments were obvious. We didn't need to go over them.
Is your dog a mastiff, or what is it?
I'm just going to use the weasel stat block.
Weasel, okay.
Because that seems to be fitting.
The weasel stat block for a puppy totally makes sense.
And that also would have given me like a +5 to stealth, but it doesn't matter. As I wrap my arms around Parthas and whisper into his ears.
It's very much a Kevin Costner, Whitney Houston bodyguard moment.
It appears to be maybe sleeping. It's a very large lizardy thing. I'm not sure that it's a dragon, but it's probably going to try to eat our faces.
What are we waiting for then?
Well, I was going to wait for you to put me down.
Oh. I gently set Aslan down. We have the advantage. We should strike now.
Well, let's do it. I'm going to follow your lead on this one, because I don't like punching scary things.
I'll lead from behind Parthas.
All right, so how are you guys approaching? I mean, there's definitely, craggy rocks and stuff that you could, be able to approach and get, within, 20, 30 feet of it without, being directly in its line of sight. But it's also difficult terrain. There's rocky ground. It's very, very easy to step on a loose rock.
Do we have 10 minutes? Can we just camp out somewhere for 10 minutes and I can create my instant servant and then try to use that as a distraction?
I will be the distraction.
If we paint an unseen servant, can it be seen? Disguise it to be visible.
In theory, it can carry stuff, so it's got to have a form.
If you prefer, I can go in and face it in melee, while you all strike at it from a distance. Keep its focus on me.
All I have is distance attacks.
Yes.
Or not distance, melee.
Again, as I'm reaching for my broadsword, or my greatsword, Yes, sure.
All
I will try to talk to it.
right, we'll go with that.
All right, so what's the plan? You're just going to charge in?
Well, I'm not
going
going to
with it.
just charge in. I do have a 16 intelligence, so I'm not a dummy.
That must be nice.
I do want to move in till I can see this thing, get a sense of the layout and how far away it is, if it's awake or asleep.
It is awake. You can get, within, like I said, 20, 30 feet, behind, some rocky crags. It has actually chosen its, space well, because where it's currently occupying is within the 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 cave opening for the double doors, so nothing has the ability to come on, to come up and flank it. You would have to approach this thing head on. And with the doors sealed, you can't really get behind it either.
Very well. I will step out. Actually, hold on. Are you all ready?
I'm right behind you. You stop, I run into you.
I will step out in view of this thing, and I will speak. Dragonkin, are you capable of speaking in our tongue? I say in Draconic.
It replies, hold on, let me look at my step.
It just kind of lets out a roar. Make an insight check.
Can I make an insight check too, since I'm right behind him?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, that is a 19 on the die. So that is a dirty 20.
All right. So it looks like it might understand, but you get the idea that it doesn't speak.
All right, new tactic.
I look at you and go, obviously it's stupid.
New tactic.
I rolled a 1.
Again in Draconic. Go on! Get out of here!
So its mouth is already open, and as it finishes its roar, it takes a quick breath in, and you see him expel this blast of what looks like some kind of acid directly at you, Parthas. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Wonderful.
No problem. All right, this friendship and dice die has been good to me so far, but not now. Let's see, that's a con. That is a con, so that's going to be... Oh, that's my saving throw. 13.
13. All right. So you managed to take it and quick slough off a bunch of it before it starts eating its way through you. So you take 10 points of acid damage, and then give me a further dexterity save.
Oh, this is not going to end well. I actually say that out loud. This is not going to end well. Oh my gosh. I'm using that point of inspiration because that was a 1.
Nice.
So I'm going to grab this other die. Whew, that is better than a 1. That's a 7.
All right. So
hold on. It's a dex save?
yes.
Oh, that's a 6 then.
All right.
I'm a
So
very big dragonborn. I do not have a lot of dexterity.
all right. So you managed to slough the acid off before it does more damage to you. But in so doing, you kind of lose your footing in the rocky ground, and you are prone. So here's where we roll initiative.
Oh, that's more like it. I got another
Okay.
1.
Well,
So
well, Mike, you have two points of inspiration. Should you so wish to?
Dirty 20.
20 for Dante.
I got 18.
18 for Oslin.
I
Ooh,
got
I
8.
lied. I have 21. I have a +6 to my initiative. I forgot about that.
Did you take alert?
I must have. I forgot what features I took. It's been a while since I've looked at the features.
What do you have, Jake?
And oh wait, yeah, it's an 8. I have a -1.
8 for Parthas. What do you have, Bolgath?
3.
All right, so Oslin, you're up.
Okay. Well, since I don't see, is Parthas right up to it?
No, he stopped about 10, 15 feet away, trying
How
to
far away
have a
is it?
conversation. And you can be as far back as the 30, 40 feet that you know.
Well, I would like to make a full 40-foot movement up to it and just punch it on the nose.
All right.
A booming blade. I rolled a 2. Now I have to hit the booming blade to make it work.
All right.
I might use my inspiration.
Yes, I think you have to hit
You
it.
must make a melee attack with the creature on a hit. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and re-roll that.
All right.
And that's probably not a whole lot better. That looks like it's a 20 or 11 to hit.
11.
Not a
You
20.
you don't even make contact. This thing is, pretty quick. I don't know if you've ever seen iguanas move, but this thing definitely, skitters around on the rocks pretty easily.
All right, then I'm going to then look up into its big face and scream, "Eat me!" And that's it.
All right, Dante, you're up.
All right. Magic missile. For 16 at level 2.
Did you use arcane recovery when you short rested?
I should have. I didn't think about it.
Yes, she did.
Sure. I have 2 level 2 slots. I can still do it regardless, but
Just
Does
just
anyone else think that Megan looks like she's a witness on Unsolved Mysteries?
oh, sorry.
The only thing missing is the artificially deepened voice.
Right.
well, Megan is playing a guy, so that would be actually a little bit more comical if she had that. So what is the damage on your magic missile?
16.
16. Wow. That is sizable. All right, so we've got Oslin right in front of it, Parthas and Bolgath all up close. Well, first off, let's see. I do not.
Oslin did yell, "Eat me." Just saying.
Bro,
All right, well,
I mean, it did eat the gun that I love. So.
all right. So he comes in at you with a claw and a bite.
Okay.
Your AC is currently 14, correct?
Yeah. And I might just go ahead and shield on that first shot to give myself an AC of 19.
Okay. You said might. Are you doing it?
It says when I take a hit, so did it hit?
It does look like the bite is going to connect.
Then yes.
All right. So you blast up a shield, and his claws and teeth, strike up against your arcane barrier.
So we're gonna go ahead and count the eat me as the verbal component for that arcane barrier. Because that's what I gotta do. Just shout eat me.
All right, Parthas, you're up.
All right, how far away am I from him?
You are 15 feet, and you are prone.
Perfect. I'm going to use half my movement to stand up. and I'm going to stand there in my hulking form, looking like some kind of Gundam warrior, as magic missiles shoot out of me like shoulder rockets. For not for a lot. Good Lord, 3 ones. For 6 points of damage. And then I'm going to action surge.
Nice.
And I'm going to draw my great sword and attack.
All right. So are you drawing it on the ground, or are you drawing it in a book?
You know what? Because of that pun, I'm not even going to draw it. I'm going to bonus action summon it to my hand. Because it's my bonded weapon.
I actually don't.
You give it an H4, you see Bolgath open his mouth, and you're just like, no.
I don't actually think it's a bonus action. I think it's just you interact with an object.
It's a bonus action.
Is it really?
To summon it, yes. Because it's a packed weapon, or not a packed weapon.
I'm like, you're not a warlock.
It's a bonded weapon. So yes, and that's a 19 on the die. So that is a 24 to hit.
Just misses. No, yeah.
All right, let's see. That's going to be 2d6, and because I'm great weapon fighter, I get to re-roll 1s and 2s. I got a 1, so I'm going to re-roll it, and I got a 1 again. So that's going to be 5 plus 3, so 8 points of slashing damage.
Certainly has not liked what has transpired so far.
And then
you score
just as a free action, I'm going to spit at it.
So you score a vicious wound on the creature's flank, and this thing's got charred scales all around it from yourself as well as Dante. And that brings us to Bolgath.
All right, so I will run up and swing my warhammer at it with a 15 to hit.
It bounces off its leathery hide.
Okay, as it bounces off, I'm quicken casting Chaos Bolt for a 19.
19 hits.
Okay. So then it's force damage based on what I rolled.
Mm-hmm.
So it's level 2, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 force damage. And did you want me to roll my Wild Surge?
Had you used your Tides of Chaos?
Yes, I did.
Then sure. Let's go ahead and surge and see what happens. Fireball right in the spot.
am covered in grease.
You are covered in grease.
I cast grease centered on myself. I'm not sure how big of an area that is. Let's see.
I want to say it's a 10-foot radius.
Grease. Nope, wrong page.
I just need to prepare spells that fall under the Chaos Sorcerer random roll thing.
Yep, 10-foot cube. Centered on me. And is difficult terrain, so I would like to fall prone. Oh, I have to make a dex save. That's what it is.
So you probably will fall prone.
Yeah, I'll probably fall prone. 21.
How on earth?
I got this. I'm dancing, but I got it.
The grease is on him, so his feet aren't greased.
My feet still are planted. I'm good.
No, I totally see like the cartoon where like the legs are flailing.
Are Oswin and Tarthus in this?
All right, I'm gonna give you the choice, Bolgath. It's you, the dragon, and either Parthus or Oslin. Who's in?
Oh, Oslin, definitely.
All
right, Oslin, you're up.
I don't want two dragons pissed at me.
You're in Greece. Make a dexterity saving throw.
That would be a 13.
And Bolgath is there. There you go. What's your DC there, Bolgath?
I just realized as I went to 13.
All right, so you are not prone.
14.
Oh, never mind. You are prone.
Because it went up and I forgot to mark it. Crap, my 2 hit went up too. I gotta change that. Oh no, it is 13. Sorry.
Jeez, make up your flipping mind.
I did change it. I just didn't change the 2 hit.
All right, Oslin, you're prone. You're not prone. You're not prone. That's where we're settling. No more changing.
It's 8 plus proficiency plus modifier.
Yes.
Proficiency's still 2, right?
Like
Legs flailing. All right, but you are standing.
I'm not sure what I am.
you are standing. You are standing in front of the dragony creature after having
grabbing the dragon to balance myself.
After having failed to deliver your spell. You're up. What do you do?
Okay. Well, now that I'm like holding on to this dragon for dear not falling life, I'm gonna go ahead and just magic missile it from right where I'm at.
All right. What is your damage?
That's a good question. I should probably roll these things. Give me just a second.
Megan doesn't look happy.
Oh, whoops. That's
I'm just trying to figure out this lighting situation.
I was just teasing you. I didn't really care.
It's 15.
15 points of damage. So this
all fours.
That's crazy. That almost never happens.
Right.
So this thing has already been hit by 7. So this is the 10th magic missile that comes in this thing after a sword slash, and it is more than this creature is able to bear. You blast one into its foot. It then head slams into the grease, and you see a couple teeth come knocked out. You score one right into its eye. And you see the eye, bruised and begins to go milky white right away. But as its head, falls, you see, its neck. You see the vicious slash that Parthas had enacted upon it, and you go right for that weakened spot. And as the last of the magic missiles blast into it, the thing just completely collapses to the ground. Its legs twitch a little bit in its death throes, and then stops moving.
And as it falls to the ground, what's been holding me up, falls. I fall with it and kind of like slip under the grease and land on this dragon. Well, that was something. It is dead, right?
Yeah.
The real question is, will it taste good?
Ooh, I'm gonna pick up one of the teeth I knocked out.
There is definitely available teeth.
What the fuck?
As I go to grab another tooth, I'm gonna look at Parthas and just is this okay?
It's not my tooth. I don't care.
Oh, well, in that case, here. Now it is your tooth.
What the hell am I supposed to do with this?
I don't know, make it into a necklace or something? Fine, I'll keep it.
After you say that and you take it back, I look around and I pick up another one. Kind of liking the idea of a dragon tooth necklace.
Well, there are plenty of teeth of a variety of different size. There's plenty of meat here.
I'm gonna grab 5 teeth.
All right.
I'm gonna go for a horn. I'm gonna just try my best to pry off a horn. Maybe I'll turn to Bolgath and be like, "Will you help me with this?"
Do I look strong? Oh, I am strong. Never mind, wrong character. Yeah, sure, I'll help.
You're used to playing some like entirely different.
I'm used to
build.
playing a bard in another game that has a 3 strength.
3.
I rolled like crap.
Why do they let you roll for stats, man?
Because, yeah.
You understand there's point buy and there's standard array, man, right?
The DM wanted to buy. I mean, to roll.
Ugh.
3d6.
Ugh.
No, it was 46. I rolled 4 once.
Oh my god.
Mike. Anyway, so you have slain the creature. Are any of you proficient in medicine or nature? Survival?
Survival.
I am proficient in none of those things. Survival, I am. That's it.
All right. So survival, you know about,
I have nature.
Survival, you know about, cutting up, things to turn into meat. Nature, you know about animals, and Bolgath has got a warhammer. He's strong, but you really don't rip the horns off of creatures. You could smash the skull and hope to break off the horn, but it's not going to have a nice clear cut. For that, you would need some kind of serrated blade. But you could totally bash away should you so desire.
I mean, it's better than I'm doing, which is just hacking at it with my knife.
I have an axe.
Axe would probably be your best bet for getting off a decent horn.
I have 2 axes actually, so yeah, I'll jump in there and make some try to be as precise as I can, and hack off this horn for Oslin.
While they're doing that, I'm going to take my warhammer to the side and have a conversation with it about how I can't seem to bloody hit anything, and it's making me upset.
So you're going to have a conversation with your hammer?
Yes, and I'm threatening to replace it with something else when I get to a big enough settlement, if it doesn't shape up and do what I want it to.
All right, give me a d20 roll.
Oh, crap. 16?
16.
Did I add anything?
No,
just this +3.
No, no, you were just rolling a d20. Your hammer doesn't respond.
Oh, good. I should type to chaos that. No.
After I'm done, gathering dragon teeth and horns, I'm gonna spend 10 minutes to cast Tensor's floating disc.
Okay.
And I just wanna stand on it and ride around like Krillin from Dragon Balls.
I don't think it moves. It has to follow you.
It's a neat idea, but I do believe Bolgath is correct. It follows you.
I mean, I don't know anything about spells.
Okay, Mike is. No, I if I remember correctly, it's something that it's programmed to follow you.
Well, in that case, I'm gonna offer somebody else to stand on it.
I believe I'm a bit too big for it.
Are you over 500 pounds?
We had this discussion early on. I weigh over 1,000 pounds.
Good night.
Aren't you like 6'7" or some nonsense like that?
6'9",
6'9"
pounds.
He is big.
That's a huge bitch. No.
In that case, I'm just gonna put all my random things that I'm grabbing on it.
Are you taking any meat?
I am.
About 490 pounds of meat.
And 10 pounds of
10 pounds of teeth and horn.
Scale.
Yep, just throw it all in there. My dog will ride on there too.
All right. So
now it's overloaded.
Is anyone investigating, the area around said critter?
Nope.
Well, yeah. Particularly being draconic, I'm even if this thing isn't a real dragon, I think it would be in the best interest to search the area.
Look for eggs. We could have omelets.
All right. So whoever wants to can make an investigation roll. 2 people can either roll or 1 person can roll with advantage. However you guys want to do it.
Oh, 19 without advantage.
All right. Well, that will do it. You do find what looks to be a pile of bones, and there's what looks to be the leftovers of other adventurers who might have tried to put down said creature. There are scraps of clothing. There are some broken weapons. Um, there is a sword in a scabbard. It's not a great sword, but it's a pretty good one. It's a long sword, and if you pull it out of the if you pull it out of its scabbard, it appears to have completely withstood the passage of time, and written in Draconic up its blade is the word vengeance. And then alongside the other tattered remains, there also does appear to be a satchel that does not what do you call it, that also doesn't appear that it's had any issues with the passage of time.
All right, I'll grab both of these things, and I will. If there's nothing else, I will take them and just present them to everybody. Although I would like to look in the satchel.
Satchel appears empty.
It appears empty.
If you give me a little bit of time, I can cast Identify as a ritual.
I think we could wait for that.
Cool. I'm
cool with that.
If you guys are cool with waiting the 10 minutes for me to do it.
So, I assume in your travels you've acquired a pearl to be able to do such.
Spoot. Never mind.
Sorry.
JK.
Bolgath could bash that dragon horn off, and I'll just sit there and use mend to put the broken pieces back together again.
All
I think
right.
we spent long enough looting this corpse. We should probably keep moving on.
Magic sure seems useful.
Well, does drawing the sword from its scabbard? Oh wait, it takes time to attune to an item, doesn't it?
If it takes an hour to attune, if something requires attunement.
Well, I'm gonna just draw the blade and give it a couple practice swishes and see how it feels and if anything happens.
Doing this old school style.
Nothing. Nothing seems to happen. But it's incredibly well balanced. It looks pretty sharp.
It's a blade of speed. Vengeance is swift.
Do any of you use swords?
Not typically.
All right. Well,
Sorry, have you seen these noodle arms?
Which one of you wants this sack? And I just toss the sack, and I'm gonna start fastening the.
Please don't call it that.
The satchel.
It's a little better.
So yeah, you guys can have the undetermined empty bag, and I'm going to start fastening the sword to my belts on the opposite side of my scimitar.
I'll take the satchel and go, this is exactly what I need, and I'll start putting the dragon teeth in it.
Just for the record, the next time Dante says we're unarmed, I have a great sword on my back, a scimitar on the left, a long sword on the right, and 2 hand axes in my belt. Just saying.
Okay, so I'll say I'm unarmed.
I just have a hammer and 2 arms.
So, Parthas, there may or may not be more to it, but I am not going to sit around and have to remember bonuses and whatnot. So, it is a +1 longsword. So should you so desire to use it, record your +1 to hit and damage.
All right.
And as I said, there may or may not be more to it than that.
Oops. All right.
Only have
I'm
to take
marking it
off my
down.
hammer and shove it onto the blade.
Well, you use a warhammer. A warhammer and a longsword are exactly the same mechanically, except, one does slashing and the other one does bludgeoning.
But I'm not proficient in a longsword.
Oh, that is true!
He's a dwarf.
Because you're a dwarf and not a fighter.
And a
And I'm
sorcerer.
proficient in everything.
That is until somebody decides to finally, put out those 3rd edition exotic weapons. That
I
fifth.
want a bastard sword so bad.
The bastard sword is a longsword, dude. That's
I know,
exactly what it
But I
is.
just like calling it a bastard sword. I like the double-bladed swords. It's actually my favorite.
So impractical, but so awesome looking.
Hey, I'm a non-lightsaber using Darth Maul, okay?
I've been there. I did it. We had a game in 3rd edition where we were based out of an orc city, and my character was totally a fighter that fought with a double-bladed lightsaber, and that was actually the weapon he got. It was an energy blade, so it was just that.
Was it the sun sword or whatever the hell that's called?
No, it was one of the magic item qualities for weapons was like the weapon was made of energy. So like I found this what looked like to be like a candlestick, and we held on to it for like many sessions, and we finally got someone to like, oh, you got magic items, I'll identify that for you, and like they twisted and bzzz, out came the blades of energy, and in and out of game, I'm like, I'm drooling. So, yeah.
Just imagining being someone not knowing what that is and just turning it on the wrong way.
Ah!
If I looked up, nope, that doesn't keep me alive.
So, you have gotten to the monastery doors.
Let's go inside.
So, you know that, within our statues, they asked you if you had, books to record the imageries that are there. They verified that some of you were proficient in, arcane means, and looking around, I'm guessing at least 2 of you are proficient in arcana. Since this is such the magic-y party. So you spoke up, and it's like, all right, go investigate and see what you can be able to find out.
I have a -1 in Arcana.
I almost didn't get trained in Arcana.
I'm not proficient in
I am.
Me too.
So Dante and Oslin, as I thought, were trained.
I roll a 9.
Oh, I should.
Well, no, I wasn't telling you to make a check.
Oh.
I was just
Good, because I rolled terribly.
no. It was just like the concept of arcane studies, the concept of what a ritual is, the fact that 2 of you are in fact wizards, therefore you have, the ability of ritual casting. You meet all of the requirements, both of you, to not have to roll any kind of thing to identify the components, herein, once you actually get to said locations. But as you step in, it appears that, all of the, for decades it appears, mountain runoff of melted snow, rain, and what have you, has, seeped through the cracks, in these doors, and, in many areas has completely, littered the ground. Half the floor in front of you is indeed coated in water. But as you take a quick look around, there isn't much in the way of light. So whether you summon light magically, whether you spark a torch, doing so, this place appears vastly different than the monastery in which you first went to. Here, there is vast amounts of carvings on the wall that depict the life of these bird folk, the Territorian, and they're going about daily life. As you look off, you can see what would have been to the left a another part of the monastery, but everything is just completely collapsed in. There's a wide opening straight in front of you, and then through water-soaked ground, there does appear to be a room off to the right. So, I know left is always your choice, but left is taken out. Do you go straight or do you go right?
Well, if we turn towards the direction to the right, then straight is to our left.
Well, if we turn towards the left, back is to our left, and we can leave. People don't like my ideas.
Let's go left.
My
Right.
bad.
Right.
My
I
bad.
meant to say right. I don't know why left came out of my mouth just now.
My background.
Because
feature
saying
that-
right is unnatural.
I like Parthas's idea of turning right
go-
and then going.
Turn right to go left.
Yep.
We're drifting.
we all
Turn
went
right to
through
go
right.
left.
And then we're like, you know what? We're gonna go left now.
Dante, you want to go to the actual right, though?
Yeah.
That's just wrong.
Okay.
My background feature, Ted, says when I enter a ruin or dungeon, I can correctly ascertain its original purpose and determine its builders. In addition, I can determine monetary value of art objects more than a century old. Is there anything that you haven't said that would apply to that?
You're uncertain exactly who made this. They're not quite to the same level as dwarves in their capabilities of cutting stone, but for not being dwarves, it's really good. There's nothing here that shows a monetary value, right off the get-go.
I assumed that part. I just wasn't sure if there was some other purpose, and it was
What background is that?
Archaeologist from
Nice.
Tomb of Annihilation.
Yep. All right, so you actually are going to the right?
I'm inclined to support Dante. Dante has sort of taken a leadership role in this group.
Oh, that's kind of scary.
Well, I mean, you've been the one to kind of step up since we walked up the mountain. And as a soldier,
Chain of command is important?
yeah, I mean, one of my ideals is responsibility. I do what I must and obey just authority. And Dante seems to have good intentions. So I think Parthas is kind of starting to see Dante as the sort of leader of this group. So I will support you in whatever decisions you're making. So it looks like we're going to the right.
Above the knee-deep water that floods this room, a few shelves remain, containing only a few scraps of leather that were once elaborate book bindings. As you go to examine further, the shelves kind of crumble, and it looks like the bookcase used to be a hidden door that would slide out, and it appears that behind this is another room with another set of shelves. This one is not nearly as waterlogged, and there does seem to be some books on the shelf that have escaped damage. Do you go into the new room?
Yes. There are books. I would
Absolutely.
like books.
Intricately carved wooden vines weave about the shelves lining this room, providing resting places for dozens of well-preserved books. As you step into the room, your feet squish on what appears to be a water-soaked carpet.
Hopefully it's not a rug of smothering. It can smother you and drown you at the same time.
I like to think it makes a nice splorching sound as we walk on it.
It absolutely splorches. But isn't that the sound effect of a gelatinous cube?
Yes, that is a canon gelatinous cube sound in Dawnbringers.
So, what do you guys do?
I'm not interested in books, so I won't.
Well, I want to check out them books. I think Dante and I are just like, look, there's words on paper.
We're nerding out.
Right.
All right, so the room contains enough written knowledge to support multiple levels of proficiency in topics regarding nature, advanced avian studies on avian creatures, and there appears to be another book with a very heavy leather cover, and a quick flip through looks to be like a book on exercising.
Well,
Like exercising spirits or like exercising your body?
Exercising your body, getting into shape.
that's a book I'm currently observing and looking at. And
I look down and go, why bother? Round is a shape.
It looks like a standard FM 21-10.
Parthus, did you
It's the Army PT manual.
did you go into the room as well, Parthus?
Oh yeah.
So are you examining the books? Are you looking around?
I'm less interested in the books. I'm just kind of looking around elsewhere while Dante and Aslan. I've got one eye on Bolgath just to make sure he doesn't get into too much trouble.
All right. Well, as you look around and your feet splorch on the carpet, you realize that like the carpet's actually in good shape. If this has been here as long as the the books that were in the past room, the carpet should have been damaged by the water. If it's been soaking for that long, clearly there's something special about this carpet.
I will look at carpet.
I mean, it's a sizable carpet. 5, 8, 5 by 8. Like there's plenty of space here. But if you pull it up, I mean, it's nothing special. It's got a sunset on a mountain, but it appears like completely undamaged, though completely soaked in water.
Nothing special. Do you know how long it takes to make a carpet like that?
Well,
Would a carpet count as an art object?
it might. But you said you
case, no.
but you said you didn't go into that room. You weren't
No, I did.
you weren't interested in books.
I mean, unless it looks like it's got any special kind of properties beyond a lack of decay, I'm not going to spend too much time on the carpet.
Is there anything here on how to appease the bird spirits?
There does not appear to be anything here about appeasing the bird spirits, but there's definitely a lot on the creatures themselves. Should you wish to, learn more about them.
I am taking a book, books, and giving him like a cursory look over, and then checking them onto my floating disc.
Okay.
I want to check out the carpet as a player, but I don't want to do it without reason. And I don't have reason with books.
To make room for the books, I will be eating meat.
Oh, dude, roll for disease chance.
I'm a dwarf, it'll be fine.
I've been playing too much Fallout.
So, It's a pretty carpet. It's undamaged. Are you leaving it where it is, or are you rolling it up and taking it with?
I don't know what's there, so
Yeah, that's a part of this question because I'm book obsessing.
Well, jeez, this is that. I did say Parthas wouldn't really have a lot of interest in the carpet. The
Okay.
DM's telling me to roll it up, so there's that.
No, I'm
Part of me is
I'm
like, maybe I should take the carpet.
I'm
No.
simply asking you a question.
No, Parthas, other than its lack of, at most I might say, Bolgath, what do you make of this?
and
It's a
on
wet
the
carpet.
on the information that Ted has said, I would be like, I don't know at the moment, but it would be worth looking into.
So from a artistic point of view, you're an archaeologist. This thing has value. Clearly the sun setting on a mountain, speaks to something, and given it's the fact that it hasn't been damaged and it's been waterlogged for decades, that in and of itself has a value to it to someone. And I don't know what level of archaeologist you're looking to do, whether you do stuff for the knowledge perspective or whether you go out and find things to sell.
I think it's a combination of I go out for things that are worth money, or if I can't sell it quick and I like it, maybe I'll keep it. So it's something I would definitely be interested in because of the mountain. So I wouldn't mind taking it and then potentially selling or keeping it.
All
I
right.
have an idea.
Bolgath, like the Indiana Jones style archaeologist.
Pretty much.
Okay.
All except for being smart.
Who has
Right.
the as yet unidentified sack? Sorry, satchel.
Austin
Me.
took it.
Can I see that a moment?
Yeah, I'll hand it to him.
It's full of teeth.
I'm going to take a closer look at this bag, and I'm going to draw my mundane scimitar.
Okay, so you take the bag. Bolgath's like, it's full of teeth, and you
Oh yeah, you put teeth in it.
you open it up, and the bag is empty.
Okay, this is kind of leaning towards where I was going. I'm taking my scimitar that's clearly longer than the bag is deep,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to slowly
Hilt
push it
first.
into the bag.
Okay, the scimitar goes in the bag. Do you let go of scimitar?
Yeah, I'm gonna let go of the scimitar.
All right.
It's a bag of devouring that now has dragon.
Well,
Probably.
I'm gonna take this risk so you don't have to. I'm then going to reach back in and try to draw my scimitar out.
All right. So you all right. I put a scimitar in this bag. You put your hand in. You're like, where's my scimitar? And the hilt appears in your hand, and you're able to draw it.
Excellent. Okay.
So
watching this with interest, going, I can put so many books in there.
How big is the opening on this sack or bag? Is now appropriately? I don't know why I keep going to sack.
I mean,
That's what Ted called it.
I called it a satchel. You guys called it a sack.
Because
if I call it bag, people are automatically like, oh, it's a bag of holding, and it's.
I honestly did not think of that until Indiana Jones wanted to take the carpet. Now I'm wondering if we can roll the carpet up tight enough to fit it through the opening.
It'll be a tight fit, but you think you can make it? You can make it happen.
Okay, then you can. I did not want to carry the carpet, and I was not going to carry the carpet.
I'll carry the carpet. I got hardly anything in my bag.
You can carry a 5-foot by 8-foot carpet.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I can probably hit people with it better than my Warhammer.
Well, at this point, we can clearly fit it in this bag, along with whatever books Auslin and Dante want to keep.
I'll look at Auslin and Dante both and ask them if either of them have magic that can dry something before we put it in.
I believe I have prestidigitation, and I believe drying things is within the capability of that spell.
It's gonna take a while because it's like a 5-foot area at a time.
Oh yeah, totally.
Or not even that long.
I do indeed have prestidigitation, and drying things is like one of the only things it's good for.
It's only 40 square feet, so that would only take 8 minutes to dry.
Oh my goodness, never mind. Throw it in the bag.
Yeah.
Nobody's got time for
What
that.
if it mildews?
If it hasn't yet, it won't.
If
It's
it's
superior
wet,
quality.
it's gonna get all my books wet. I don't want to get my books wet.
Fine, and I put my backpack like away from my back and like just shove it in there rolled up so it's sideways, so I can't get through doorways unless I go sideways.
All
I'm
right.
gonna put all my books in that. I got my desk. I'm gonna put all my books on my desk.
If someone's willing to help me, I'm carrying it that way.
All right. So you have the carpet. I'll have to remember exactly what number I rolled for that. And then Oslin, you took the book with exercises.
Yep. And probably a bunch of other books on avian flight and books about their. I don't know how many books are there, but if I can fit them on my floating disc, I'm probably taking.
All right. Well, the floating disc can hold 500 pounds. There's not 500 pounds worth of books. So I mean, you can put 3 books of avian creatures, 3 books on nature. Was there anything anybody else wanted?
I burp and go, Oslin, no more books. I'm so full.
And I did give you back the bag, Elson.
Oh, thank you.
That now weighs 800 pounds. No.
It weighs a lot more. Yeah.
All right. So, but the room does, dead end here.
I guess we're gonna do my plan anyway.
I'm gonna summon my mage hand and have it hold one of the books while we walk out of the room, and I'm gonna be reading it.
All right. So you are distracted. Excellent.
Oh, clearly.
All right. So as you re-enter the larger area, you see obviously there is something that has been living here, as you see a skeleton, half rotted, half eaten, in the antechamber, in the half in the water, half out. As you begin moving on.
All right.
And then you are, left with a choice again as the room forks off to the left or to the right.
Is this a question?
Wow.
You have to ask.
So as you begin heading off, you see, not let's see here, not 40 feet away, one of the statues that you were told to look for, the rising phoenix. It's a large bird, the wings spread out, and as you examine the statue, motes of dust in the air begin to coalesce, and spectral shapes of a monk appear before you. He looks at you angrily and says, "Back to your cell." Do you do anything?
I'm gonna
As-
look at him and say,
You look around, and there does appear to be, like, right next to the statue, there's a cage with an open door.
"That's so? That's
What do you-
not ours."
What do you do?
I have no idea what's going on because I have a dog freaking out.
What exactly were we supposed to do with these statues?
There are carvings. There's information that's supposed to be around the base of each of them, and you were supposed to record those down and bring that information back to the Territorian, and combined with their ancient tablets that they have, they would be able to enact a ritual that would appease Krutpa.
So he's a spectral monk.
Make a decision. Do you remain or do you step into the cell?
I'll go in.
I'm not stepping in the cell.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at him and say, that's not our cell.
I'll be the guinea pig.
Volgath, get out of there.
I step in. Too late.
All right. As the three of you, stand there, the monk's face gets angry. It distorts, and let's see, who is he gonna? 1, 2. All right. So the head of this spectral creature detaches and grows, and he comes and bites out at Dante. And a 21 is gonna hit.
So, wait, the spectral monk's head just grew, detached, and attacked.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I heard that right.
Yeah.
You said detached or just stretched?
It, the rest of his body, disappeared as the head got bigger, and he came down and bit at Dante. So he hits you for 11 points of necrotic damage.
Oh, I freak.
And make a Constitution saving throw.
Hold on, the spell's part of my character sheet. Here we go. Con throw. Oh, I nat ones.
Okay. So as
I have inspiration.
Okay. All right. You can reroll.
13.
All right. So the creature bites out at you, and as it hits, the black veins of energy kind of spring out from where he connects. It looks like, or it felt like this, could have been significantly worse, but you were able to resist its effects. Go ahead and give me initiative. For those that are not in the cell.
In the cell? Perfect.
You can choose. I got a 14 for Oslan.
That was a 5 for Dante.
4.
Oh, 4 for Parthas. Are you taking part there, Bolgath? No, he left. So, and of course I'm gotta be
Cage door closes and locks, and he's just like, oh.
Oslan, what are you doing?
All right, I'm gonna pull a feather out of my component pouch and wave it at the floating head and say something like, you really shouldn't lose your head over this. And he needs to make a DC 13 Wisdom save.
Wisdom. That's a 20. Dirty 20.
He does not find my joke funny.
No, was that Tasha's?
Yeah, I don't think there was a fail thing.
All right. Well, he was so not laughing at your joke that he attempts to bite you, and misses by a lot.
Oh, good.
Dante.
You know what? I've got another magic missile up my sleeve. It's gonna be a normal one, but we can do this. We can make this a thing. 12.
12 damage. So you blast a couple holes through his spectral form. Parthas.
Well, he's got enough form to physically harm Dante.
He was definitely not happy with what happened there. So
I am going to. I'm gonna try this thing out. I'm gonna draw this longsword with vengeance written on it,
all right,
and I'm gonna two-hand attack with it.
all right. Longsword in 2 hands does a D10.
So the attack is a nat 20.
Nice.
One of the night, so that's a crit.
Woo!
So that is how do you do your crits again?
Pretty much the same way you do. Max out the die and then add the roll.
That's 10, 14, and then roll again. 23 points of damage. That includes the +1 bonus.
That is exactly how many hit points he has left. So you bring this blade straight through the middle of this spectral skull, and the motes of energy just completely dissipate. And you were very happy that you decided to re-roll that, Megan. That would have not been happy for you.
Holding the sword, I turn to my compatriots. And though none of them, I don't know if any of you speak Draconic. So, unless you can speak Draconic, you have no idea what the blade says. I just hold it aloft and say, "Vengeance is mine."
I actually do speak Draconic, but I'm not going to give the game away.
Yeah, you're doing a pretty good job of. Wait, you said it in common, right?
No, he said it in Draconic.
I said it. No, I said it in common.
Oh, okay.
But the sword says vengeance in Draconic. So the attempted pun is lost on it, as far as I know, on everybody.
I'm just gonna say you've done a pretty good job at killing ghost things with your weapons.
I like this one.
All right, so looking back at the statue, you do see that there are indeed depictions. Here, you actually see a series of images. This one you see, completely a human drawing, and you see the human on the mountainside, and then you see like the same depiction of the face of that human, but now it's got the Territorian wings, claws, and feet.
Do we have any paper and charcoal or something to do a rubbing?
They made sure that you had anything you would need to bring the stuff back. So if you don't already have such, you were provided it.
Okay. I'll pull out some parchment and just do a rubbing of this and fold it up and put it inside one of the books.
Awesome.
I'll look at everybody else and say, I think we're good.
So you know that there were multiple statues that you had to find. This is only the first of them.
Should we let Bolgath out of the cage?
No, I'm fine. It might come back.
So Bolgath, as you're looking around, these arrow-shaped rooms intended to model the rays of the sun were once cells for acolyte monks as they underwent their education. If the scratches and gouges in the walls are any indication, that education may not have been the gentlest of doctrines and discipline. While your friends were, fighting the spectral head, you were like, yeah, it's a pretty interesting room.
I can see him doing that. Nice.
So it's got the sun thing again now.
Can I push in the middle of the sun and see if a secret room opens or anything cool like that?
No. And this was as you look back, you realize, if we went back to that, central area, you guys went off to the left, and there's the alcove that has the statue. Straight ahead is where you're in. The room, or the hallway, continues off to the right. Um, and you would surmise that, if you follow that along, that would reach back, eventually, coming full circle back to the room that you were in. Um, and, there was, next to the statue, there is a small walkway, that leads off of this main chamber.
Yeah, we'll go take that walkway.
So you go the walkway, or are you going to go around to see if there was a...
Oh, okay. Now probably should go around and check to see if there's any more statues around this thing.
Yeah. I'm a clear the level completely before we move on kind of guy.
Yeah.
So as you follow the circular hallway around, you do find two more of these rooms that are shaped like arrows, and while the scratch marks in the floor and the walls aren't identical, they're the idea behind them, the fact that they're there, does hold true with each of the others. But when you come around, you do find another statue with a bird. This one, the wings appear in, as if it's sitting on a nest with its head bent low. Here it shows the first image, that of what appears to be the Territorian that was in the other one, the fully emerged, and as the progression moves, this one appears as if he is stepping off the mountain for the first time and taking flight. So you're seeing a bit of progression.
Right. I'll do another rubbing of this one as well.
I'm curious, if we went the other way, would we see him landing, or would it just be him taking off in reverse?
Who knows? So when you do follow it around, continuing, in your in your circular path, and you do find yourself, in that central chamber once more. You make your way back to that first statue and begin to walk down, this much smaller hallway, whereas, Parthas, you had plenty of room to move as you enter into this much smaller hallway. It definitely, it feels tight, both in height and width for someone of your size. You're not quite having to, compress yourself, but it's darn near close. Having the smaller weapon that you've decided to adopt, if you have to fight, this is definitely something that would be easier to manage in such tight quarters. As you begin walking down the hallway, the walls have partially collapsed here, where a large burrowing creature dug deep crevices into the east and west walls, allowing water to flood the area even more. The carved figures of feather-cloaked dancers crumble at the edges of damaged walls. It appears some of the steps may need to be recreated without a guide. You see the carvings on the walls. While you were told to look for statues, this here might actually, be an important part of what's going on, as it does appear that there is a group of Territorian, people, dancing, with purpose.
You gonna rub that one too, Oslin? Just in
Yeah,
case?
yeah, might as well. Rub it off. I actually got distracted halfway through, and when I caught into the second half, I wasn't sure if it was a physical description or if it was another base of a statue.
It's like a wall.
Yeah, yeah. You guys are in a walkway, in a hallway, and while it's not a statue, it is up to you
No.
whether.
I'll do a rubbing of this one because my artist depiction is going to be quite garbage. It's going to be stick figures with wings. So I'll do a rubbing, but this is loose for me. So I'll fold it up and tuck it into a different book.
As you continue around, the hallway curves to the right, and here you find even more drawings. The carvings show the way to perform the rising and setting sun dance. As it's scrawled, you're pretty sure that you're seeing progression from the last set of dances, as if maybe like there are the specific moves that the Territorian would need to do. You've got stage 1, stage 2, and possibly progressing further down the hallway. As you move on, the water begins to cover the entire floor as we get even more narrow, much to Parthas's chagrin, and you find yourself before two statues, each depicting 4 Territorian surrounding a 5th, who kneels with either wings outstretched. You're pretty certain that, based on what you were told to extract, here, you have the last pieces. But as you're, completing this, you do look forward, and there is another statue with a chest in front of it. A stone representation of Krutfa stands in Pelagorn form, wings outstretched to touch either wall. The statue is bathed in magical red and yellow flames, though there is no heat or smoke. And as I said, sitting in front of it appears to be a chest.
I would like to do an Arcana check on the flames to study that whole interaction happening there.
All right, go for it.
21.
What is the name of that spell? It's a 2nd level cleric spell.
Continual flame.
That's it. Thank you.
Is that enough for me to be able to? No, because I wouldn't actually know how to cast it. I would just recognize what it is. Okay.
What did you get? What was your check?
21.
Oh, absolutely.
Could I put that in my spell book? That's what I was.
It's a
getting
cleric.
No. It's not something you would be able to add to your own.
Right. It's just something I'd recognize.
Yeah. You recognize what it was. You understand the magic of it.
I know it was in an RPG crate game, but I can't remember if it was with these characters. But was I attacked by a mimic before with this character, or was that a different one?
I think that was a different one.
Okay, then never mind. I'm not scared of the chest.
So,
I'm too enthralled with the flames.
is it just that the passageway has gotten smaller that's causing me to...
You're getting bigger.
Or is it the whole... I'm just trying to picture this with these statues and...
All right, so I'll give you this. I don't know how well you can see that. This is where the passage narrowed, and then it opens up so you guys can get to the 3 statues.
I got it.
And Curator is pretty big, too. I can never get this guy's name right.
Krutfa.
He was pretty big to begin with, so...
Well, I mean, obviously this is not a full representation, of him here. Or not a life size, but definitely bigger than, you guys. I mean, it's a good maybe 10, 12 feet. So it's almost his size, but not exactly.
Um, just going back, was the monk one of the Territon, or was it a like humanoid? Not
Uh,
humanoid.
Territorn is the humanoid. The Gorn are the monstrous birds.
Right, but even the Territoran kind of look very avian, don't they? I guess I'm
That's
just not quite sure how human they're supposed to look.
like that. I don't know how you guys can see that.
Okay, so it still looks kind of.
They have a humanoid face. It's just like around their eyes and their head is feathered, but they
Think
still
about how
have.
feathered you.
But they
They
have
don't have
they,
a. They don't have a beak.
they don't have a beak. They have a nose. They have a mouth.
So they're like Hawkman from Buck Rogers.
Yeah. Was the monk clearly one of those?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You're the only non Territorn and Gorn up here.
Okay.
Well, I'm going over to take a look at the chest.
All right. All right. You just open it up.
No, I'm taking a look at it.
All right. You look. You doesn't appear locked. Doesn't appear trapped.
All right, I will open it then.
All right. So there is a red-bladed dagger that looks. It's so well crafted. It looks like it's like the blade is a feather. It's a red metal. But I mean, it's clearly a dagger. It's clearly metal, and it's clearly well made. There is also a brightly colored headdress that kind of gives a bit of the imagery of the Territorn to whoever would don such a thing.
These seem important. Given what we've seen with the depictions and the need to fully understand this ritual, these feel ritualistic.
Mm-hmm.
How big is this chest?
I mean, it's sizable. The dagger was small, but like the headdress was placed in lovingly, so it wasn't just tossed in there. So I mean, I would say it's probably good 3 feet wide by foot and a half across and at least 2 feet deep. It's a chest.
It's a standard Skyrim size
Okay.
chest.
I don't know.
So
I haven't played
then-
Skyrim.
I'm not going to carry the chest then, but Alzlin, you still have that bag. I would recommend that we put these in there.
I'm gonna laugh so hard if it's a bag of devouring.
Well, he did get a scimitar back, so.
Yeah, but if you have a chance every time, or some amount of time, or something like that. Then
Well-
just everything gets eaten. I
I
hope
will.
so.
I'll take the items and with the amount of doubt you've instilled in me already, I'm going to make a nice little just take some of the meat off of my disc and move everything away and just set it gently in a spot that's fairly clean.
Okay.
And
Wrap it in plastic first.
right.
Throw it in a Ziploc.
So, I've already decided, through all the rubbings and the studying of the stuff that I've been doing, if they'll let me, I'm going to participate in this ritual.
Okay.
And this might be something that I can use in that, since I'm not really, bird-like myself.
So you guys, have everything. You believe you have everything that you need from the from here. You make it back to town. You talk to them. They're eagerly awaiting, looking at these old drawings, old carvings, and they say without haste we should absolutely conduct this ceremony. I mean, typically, if you're going to do this kind of stuff, like there should be ritual purification and days of fasting and this kind of stuff. But if you wanted to go down that road, we'd have better chance of success. But each morning you would be fighting, Krutfa again. I think it's safer to push ahead and than to risk fighting him each day.
We can take him.
Well,
But should we?
I
No.
I would like very much to observe whatever rituals you normally enact in these moments. However, if your wisdom is that we perform the ritual sooner rather than later, we should probably go with that.
so they take you to a wide open space, within the monastery. The clear sky is above, and they look over the drawings. They look over the dance, and there isn't really time to go and practice. It almost seems as if the knowledge was there and hidden, and it was merely just showing that it became unlocked. It's kind of like picking up something you have a knack for and excelling the first time you do it. As the music plays, the Territorian dance, and those of you that wish to take part, you are drawn in, and the magic that they enact seems to flow out from them and encompass those of you that wish to dance alongside them. And just as if you've been dancing this dance your whole life, your movements are flawless, in motion with the other Territorian. As the dance goes on, Krutfa appears, not as he did, but he appears cloaked in flame, much like you saw in the statue in the monastery. He's even bigger, and the appearance is shocking and rather intimidating. And as he shows, he too, in the air, begins to dance and join the movements that you make. And for a moment, you see the form shrinking, not into oblivion, but to the size that the other Territorian are. As he shrinks, he lowers and finds an opening that just seems to slowly drift just enough for him to get into place. And when it all is done, as the movements stop, those of you that chose to dance, those of you who chose not to dance, you find yourselves directly in front of Krutfa, as the other Territorian end behind in a kneeling position. And he looks at each of you, and with just a solemn bow of the head, he inclines in your direction. And poof, in a gust of flame, he is gone.
How incredible.
Well, that's that then.
So you're able to spend as much time up here as you would would choose to do, befriending, socializing with the
Long resting.
the Territorian, absolutely getting a long rest.
Yeah, interesting.
Leveling up.
You'll get to do that. I actually have next month's stuff right over there. Which
Next month.
technically this month. This is December's crate. We were forced to kind of delay a little bit because of December planning, but you guys are able to negotiate easily with the Territorian, and looks that Krutfa will be kind to strangers as long as they're not aggressive to the Territorian. And with that, we're gonna end this here. Off air, I'll kind of go over some of the stuff that you guys have found this session, and we'll be able to pick this up. Next game we agreed on was going to be the 25th of January. So.
It is 25th. You're right. 21 days.
21 days from today.
Yeah.
We'll be back. Session 5. We'll see where these characters get to go next. Again, RPG Crate has got all kinds of awesome stuff delivered to your door each month. Should you so desire to get a subscription, as I've been enjoying for quite some time, you get these awesome cards that I realize I've got like 28 months worth of these things sitting in a pile right behind the camera here, and I put them in a 3-ring binder, and they are full of awesome stuff, unique monsters, unique magic items, great maps, as well as awesome session material. And as I'm demonstrating here, these can be run as a campaign, as each one can link to the next. So RPGcrate.com, use promo code NerdarchyRPGcrate. I apologize that I didn't get the links to your awesome stuff, but